Drastic action has been taken at Williams with the simultaneous departure of its team principal and technical director in a move that hints at its Formula 1 revival being in huge trouble. Jost, Capito and Francois-Xavier Demaison are leaving the team at the end of a year in which Williams badly underdelivered, even against relatively modest expectations. Any 2022 struggle was meant to be one big backwards step now, many more forward in the future. But the two people responsible for that grand project are now leaving. So what's caused this shock shake-up, and will it save the Williams F1 masterplan or set its rebuild back even further? Capito joined as the first team boss appointed by new owner Doralton Capital after it purchased Williams during 2020 and the team's founding family departed. Williams had spent years in a gradual decline, battling mounting financial concerns, so the Doralton era heralded fresh investment and an opportunity to rebuild one of F1's most famous teams. Capito was tasked with leading that turnaround and recruited former colleagues from his days at Volkswagen's dominant World Rally Championship team to assist him in the process. But this season, the first with new technical regulations, was a huge disappointment. And having jumped to 8th in the Constructors' Championship in 2021, Williams fell to last again in 2022, scoring just 8 points. Combine that with what are expected to be significant financial losses in 2022, as the FW44 is not exactly decked out in the logos of high-paying sponsors, and we understand that Doralton feels its investment in Williams has been used poorly. What happened is murky, because in Williams' slightly unclear announcement it only said that Capito is stepping aside and that Demaison will leave his post. Doralton chairman Matthew Savage made a rare press release appearance stating Capito postponed his planned retirement to take the Williams job and will pass the reins on for the next part of this staged process. What that's meant to mean is about as clear as mud, and leaves it open to interpretation whether this is a planned departure, if Capito and Demaison have just walked away, or just been suddenly axed. We have our theories, which we'll come to later, but for now, Williams says a new team principal and technical director will be announced in due course, and presumably will be tasked with progressing Capito's few good achievements and tidying the mess left behind. Capito certainly made his mark at Williams. He signed Alex Albon from Red Bull initially on loan for 2022 and then on a permanent multi-year deal, and picked rookie Logan Sargent for a 2023 race seat, having only brought the American into the Williams Academy a year ago. The Williams Young Driver program was developed in Capito's time with the team, and he was also responsible for an aggressive marketing strategy with a huge off-track focus, especially in the United States. Work also went into identifying perceived weaknesses at the team's Grove headquarters, with a new factory initially targeted, although that has never been officially committed to by Doralton, and we think it's been put on the back burner for now. Capito claims doing all this was able to lay the foundations for the turnaround of this great team, but his critics internally and externally think he actually had the opposite effect. The results have been poor in the short term, and it seems that Doralton realised during the season that Capito was not the man to lead the team longer term either. Though the buck stops with Capito as team principal and CEO, there will inevitably be attention on the lesser known Demaison and the fact he represented a massive gamble to begin with. Demaison's F1 experience was limited to spells with Peugeot and Renault early in his career, but he had enjoyed phenomenal success in rallying. He was an integral part of VW's WRC dominance of 2013 to 2016 and went on to lead the development of the VW IDR electric car, a record breaker both at Pikes Peak and the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Capito held Demaison in high regard and took the risk of bringing him in to head up the Williams technical team, which had been without a technical director since Paddy Lowe's departure on the eve of the 2019 season. Capito believed Demaison's experience with ground effect and simulation technology from Volkswagen would have a crucial role to play with Williams. Together they were responsible for what Demaison called a long-term transformation of a team that was stuck in the past in terms of the infrastructure at its headquarters, and that Capito said had outdated working practices. Demaison's priority was to structure the technical team and focus on the wider strategic improvements required over directly dealing with the technical aspects of the car. He repeatedly stressed this process, which included conducting a review of the technical infrastructure and trying to improve the way the team at the factory worked with the race team trackside would take time. But the first car conceived and developed after Demaison joined, the 2022 FW44, was a disappointment. Like its predecessor, it was sensitive to wind conditions and struggled for through corner balance consistency, and a big redesign had to be committed to early in the year. This led to a major change in side pod concept introduced at Silverstone, moving away from the Mercedes style to a Red Bull-esque design, and that yielded improvements, but it was the last 2022 upgrade for Williams as it switched focus to its 2023 design early. In explaining that logic, Capito half joked to us that next year we have to do a step forward, otherwise it's something really wrong. Perhaps those words have been proven to be unfortunately prophetic. Maybe part of the rationale for Demaison's exit is that the signs are this has not paid off with next year's car. But the concerns on the technical side likely run deeper. What became clear is that Demaison's hoped for impact with ground effect and simulation expertise didn't prove as valuable as anticipated. And while he was looking at the bigger picture rather than focusing solely on the car, his lack of direct F1 experience likely meant too steep a learning curve, and he was viewed as out of his depth. After all, technical directors usually are appointed based on vast F1 experience with familiarity with these highly specialised cars and technologies built up over many years for a reason. Dorilton has already sunk a lot of money into the Williams project, more than £100 million, and the suggestion is that during 2022, the board simply felt that Capito and Demaison were taking the team in the wrong direction. Both regularly spoke of the complexity of the task and the fact success would only come many years down the line. At the end of the 2022 season, Capito even likened the team's long-term rebuild to performing open heart surgery on a patient that was running a marathon. This creative analogy stemmed from leading this overhaul to fix Williams' perceived shortcomings while the team designed, built and developed a car to brand new technical regulations and raced as competitively as possible. The fact is, neither Capito nor Demaison sounded like someone expecting to depart their role anytime soon at the end of the year. Demaison even said in Brazil, the penultimate race of the season, that to build a team takes 2 to 3 years and to get the maximum out of it takes 2 to 3 more. So even if we take 2021 to be the starting point, that's 2025 at the absolute earliest, with 2026 and a new set of car and engine rules being a more realistic target. Basically what we're saying is it's highly unlikely they were both primed to just walk away, which makes us doubt one of the claims we've heard since the news broke, which is that Capito and Demaison simply didn't want to be there anymore. The logic goes that Dorilton has had a massive change of heart after major losses this year, decided not to commit any more investment, and may even want to sell up entirely. So Capito and Demaison didn't see the point in being part of a doomed project with no means to make the necessary improvements that had been promised. But that seems just a tad simplistic and smacks of one or two people trying to save face. We do think that Dorilton's view of the F1 project is a bit warped, as we've heard other stories about crazy valuations for what the team is worth. But if Dorilton has decided to be more cautious with its cash, perhaps the reason is that it simply doesn't trust Capito and Demaison to spend it wisely. If so, then it is right to reset before they cause further damage, as any success Williams may still be able to achieve will stem from decisions made now. So while some elements of this situation will still remain slightly unclear, we can conclude with reasonable certainty that there were serious concerns about the threat posed to what is meant to be a prosperous long-term future. After all, if Capito and Demaison were laying strong and sturdy foundations, why would they be leaving now? Or to put it another way, if Capito's unorthodox surgery on the patient running the marathon was going well, why are the main medical personnel being replaced mid-procedure? This shake-up can only be viewed as a necessity, born from just how much was being sacrificed in the short term and a clear lack of confidence that it would yield the long-term results Dorilton demands. Williams has spent the last 2 years building for the future. Unfortunately for Capito and Demaison, the team's ownership has decided that will be better without them in it.